Welcome to Morphic Labs, and today we're going to be discussing beyond sharp what quants actually care about. And today's video is going to be very short and quick, and what we're going to be covering is chapter 6, which synthesizes everything we've learned from chapter 1 up until 5, so you can sort of have a quantitative due diligence checklist for every strategy or portfolio you construct. But before we get into that, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button if you want to keep up with more content like this. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested in increasing your market intelligence, which if you're into trading or markets in any capacity, you should be interested in increasing your market intelligence. If that sounds like you, I have a free market microstructure and trading systems course that will walk you through the foundations of market structure, the mechanics of trading, market data, and analytics. Plus, an advanced market aggregation course if you're into looking at markets from different angles, at least from a data perspective, which is my advanced market aggregation course that walks you through advanced price-based aggregation, volatility-driven aggregation, information theoretic aggregation, order flow microstructure aggregation, event-driven and hybrid methods, plus implementation and selection criteria. So you can pick the most optimal aggregator for your specific use case. If you find that interesting, the links are in the description. Just sign up to be a free member and you have both of these all to yourself for free. Now let's get into it, right? Chapter 6, Synthesis, a quantitative due diligence checklist. No single metric captures the full reality of strategy performance. The professional quant evaluates strategies through a multi-lens framework, asking a series of rigorously defined questions. And we have 8 questions over here that are going to be in our checklist. Number 1, edge verification. Does the strategy demonstrate positive mathematical expectancy over a statistically significant sample? Compute the expected value of x from equation 3 and verify that a is greater than 0. Right? Let's go look at equation 3 if you're not familiar with it. And equation 3 is essentially the expected value equals, or at least the expected value of x equals w times w cap e difference L times L cap e, right? Where w essentially is the win probability, w cap e is the average winning trade, and L is the the losing probability, and L cap e is the average lose or the average loss, so to speak, right? And A is just the edge, right? Which is calculated using this definition over here. Number 2, edge stability. Has the edge been consistent across different market regimes, or is it concentrated in a specific period? Regress rolling 12-month returns against market factors and test for structural breaks. Number 3, correlation profile. What is the correlation of this strategy to existing book positions? Compute P sub ij from equation 9 and verify the diversification benefit. Stress test correlations at P tending to 1. Let's go look at equation 9. Equation 9 is essentially this correlation matrix, right? Number 4, drawdown characterization. What is the historical maximum drawdown, and more importantly, what is the distribution of drawdowns? Monte Carlo simulate return paths to estimate the probability of exceeding historical maximum drawdown. Number 5, risk of ruin. Given the estimated age and position sizing, what is the probability of total capital loss? Compute the risk of ruin from equation 21. If return risk of ruin is greater than 1%, reduce position size or reject the strategy. Let's go look at equation 2.1. And here's equation 2.1, which is essentially defined by this formula over here, right? Which is the risk of ruin. Statistical significance number 6. Is the observed Sharpe ratio or Sortino ratio statistically significant, or could it be a fluke of sampling? Compute the probabilistic Sharpe ratio from equation 25 and verify that the probabilistic Sharpe ratio is greater than 0.95 for the benchmark Sharpe ratio, right? Let's go look at equation 25, which is the probabilistic Sharpe ratio, right? And here's the definition of equation 25. Number 7, consistency assessment. Does the equity curve exhibit steady, consistent growth or lumpy, irregular returns? Compute the K ratio from equation 27 and compare across strategies. Right? Let's go look at what equation 27 is if you're not familiar with it already. And here it is, the K ratio, which is definition 5.5, right? Number 8, downside efficiency. How much downside risk does the strategy take per unit of return? Compute the Sortino ratio from equation 24 and the Kalmar ratio from equation 19, right? Let's go look at those. Essentially, equation 24 is the Sortino ratio, and equation 19 is the Kalmar ratio, right? Now, a strategy that passes all 8 criteria is rare. A strategy that passes criteria 1, 5, and 6 is worth serious consideration. So, a strategy that essentially has a positive edge, right? And the risk of ruin is not crazy, right? It's something reasonable, a risk of ruin that you can take on. And number 6, it has statistical significance, right? If your strategy satisfies number 1, 5, and 6, it's worth your time. I'm not saying it's going to outperform the market, whatever that means. But I'm not saying the strategy is going to be phenomenal. What I'm saying is it's going to be worth your time, right? And if you find a strategy that fulfills all 8 criteria, well, that's phenomenal. It's a miracle, actually, right? Because it's just so rare to find such strategies, right? To find a strategy that has positive edge, has a stable edge, the correlation profile is not something risky, the drawdown characterization is not something off the cliff, the risk of ruin is plausible, the statistical significance is very high, the consistency assessment is consistent, the downside efficiency is optimal. If you find a strategy with all 8 ticked, you're a miracle worker, right? Because I've never found a strategy that satisfies all 8. I was close, but not all 8. Maybe say 4 out of 8, 5 out of 8 at most, right? But this is not here to discourage you. It's just a practical, cautious, or at least a practical warning. Let me say that, right? To anybody who wants to actually construct portfolios and strategies. But let me stop yapping on. Let me get back to the document. A strategy that passes all 8 criteria is rare. A strategy that passes criteria 1, 5, and 6 is worth serious consideration. A strategy that fails criterion 1, positive edge, or criterion 5, acceptable risk of ruin, must be rejected regardless of its characteristics. So if your strategy doesn't have a positive edge, or it has a very unplausible risk of ruin, throw it away. I don't care how sophisticated your machine learning, deep learning model is. I don't care how many hours of GPU compute you use to train the model. It will fail drastically. Okay. And a final observation. Okay. Now, the final observation states the Sharpe ratio remains ubiquitous not because it is the best metric, but because it is the easiest to compute and the simplest to explain to non-technical allocators. The quant toolkit is deliberately more complex because the markets are complex systems. There is no free lunch in risk measurement. Simplifying assumptions about return distributions invariably hide the risk that ultimately matter. The contrarian quant embraces this complexity and builds portfolios that survive because the mathematics of survival is non-negotiable. You can have the most positive edge in the world, but if you can't manage your risk, that means nothing. Because edge is how you make money, but risk management is how you keep money. But that's about it. Here are the references for every single data point statement that's ever been made in Beyond Sharp. And that's about it for today. If you enjoyed this, I would appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. And if you're interested in increasing your market intelligence, which you should be interested in increasing your market intelligence if you're into trading or markets at any capacity. But if that sounds like you, I have a free market microstructure and trading systems course that will walk you through the foundations of market structure, the mechanics of trading, market data, and analytics. Plus, I have a free advanced market aggregation course if you want to look at markets from different angles that will walk you through advanced price-based aggregation and volatility-driven aggregation, information theoretic aggregation, order flow microstructure aggregation, event-driven and hybrid methods, plus implementation and selection criteria so you can pick the most optimal aggregator for your specific use case. If you found that interesting, the links are in the description. Just sign up to be a free member and you have both of these all to yourself. And that's about it for today. I'm out.